Down syndrome is a disease that occurs during cell division when a developing baby receives a set of chromosomes from each parent. Each parent gives their child a set of 23 chromosomes. Therefore, a child receives 23 pairs of chromosomes. Down syndrome is caused by a full or partial extra copy of chromosome 21. Chromosome 21 is the smallest human chromosome and represents about 2% of the total DNA in cells. Chromosome 21 is likely to contain 200 to 300 genes that provide very important and specific instructions for making proteins. Therefore, problems occurring with cell division pertaining to chromosome 21 produces problems due to the fact that human bodies are so dependent on proteins. Statistics show that 1 in every 691 babies in the United States are born with Down syndrome. Also, the total number of Americans that have been diagnosed with this condition is approximately 400,000. And every additional year, approximately 6,000 more babies are diagnosed. These statistics make Down syndrome the most common genetic condition in the United States. Down syndrome was discovered by John Landon Down in the year 1866. Although everyone knew there was something different about people with this condition, Down discovered and described the specific physical conditions and symptoms. Due to his discovery, he became the father of this syndrome. Although Down discovered the physical conditions and symptoms, he failed to determine the cause. It wasn't until 1959 when French physician Jeremy Lejeune identified Down syndrome as a chromosomal condition. Lejeune was the person who scientifically discovered that people with Down syndrome had 47 chromosomes instead of the usual 46. Also, he discovered that Down syndrome dealt specifically with chromosome 21. There are 3 types of Down syndrome. The first is called trisomy 21 and occurs from non-disjunction during cell division. This means that prior to conception, a pair of chromosome 21 in either the egg or sperm fails to separate, resulting in the embryo developing an extra chromosome in every cell of the body. Trisomy 21 accounts for 95% of people with Down syndrome. The second type is called mosaic Down syndrome, which occurs when non-disjunction takes place in one of the initial cell divisions after fertilization. This means that the embryo has some cells containing the usual 46 chromosomes and some containing an extra copy of chromosome 21. Mosaic Down syndrome accounts for about 1% of people with Down syndrome. Therefore, it is very rare. The third and final type of Down syndrome is called translocation. During translocation, part of chromosome 21 breaks off during cell division and attaches to a different chromosome. Even though not an entire extra chromosome is present, the partial extra copy produces symptoms of this syndrome. Down syndrome can be diagnosed prenatally or at birth. There are 3 different types of tests that can be performed for Down syndrome before a baby is born. The first type of test involves a sonogram, which looks for characteristics that have a significant association with Down syndrome. Secondly, blood tests are done to measure quantities of different substances in the blood of the mother. The results from the test and the mother's age are used to estimate her chance of having a child with Down syndrome. The sonogram and blood test only produce an estimation if the developing baby has this genetic condition. Although it is only an estimation, these tests do have a high accuracy percentage. The last type of test that can be performed prenatally is called amniocentesis. Amniocentesis is a diagnostic procedure that is practically 100% accurate when diagnosing Down syndrome. This procedure includes the sampling of amniotic fluids that contain fetal tissues, and this produces information to determine genetic abnormalities. This procedure is performed during the 2nd trimester and only has a 1% risk factor of terminating the pregnancy. At birth, Down syndrome is usually identified by certain physical characteristics. If those physical characteristics are present, a karyotype is done to confirm the diagnosis. A karyotype involves the doctor taking a blood sample and examining the baby cell for abnormalities. Physical traits of a person with Down syndrome include low muscle tone, flat facial features, a small nose, upward slanted eyes, small ears, a single crease across the palm, extra space between the first and second toe, excessive ability to extend joints, and an enlarged tongue. Those with Down syndrome do not only go through the symptoms and obtain the physical traits related to this specific condition, but also develop other complications throughout their life. Heart defects are very common among people with Down syndrome. These heart problems tend to get worse with age and can be life-threatening. Young children tend to be more likely to develop leukemia than others without this condition. Due to abnormalities in their immune system, those with this syndrome are more susceptible to infectious diseases. Lastly, people with Down syndrome usually have to deal with breathing interruptions in their sleep due to the skeletal obstruction of their airways. The life expectancy for people with Down syndrome has dramatically increased throughout the last century. As of 1925, the average lifespan of a child with this condition was 10 years. Now, with the advances in technology and medical treatments, people with this condition are living into their 50s and beyond. Many people ask if there is any way to prevent this condition. The only scientific statement that can be said regarding a way to prevent Down syndrome is to conceive a baby at a younger age. The older the mother is, the more likely Down syndrome will develop. Statistics show that 1 in every 1,500 babies develop Down syndrome if the maternal age is 20. On the other hand, 1 in every 12 babies develop Down syndrome if the maternal age is 49. Many people also ask if there are specific causes for Down syndrome. As of current day, there is no definite research that shows what specifically causes this condition. Researchers say that scientific research does not show that environmental factors or the activities of the parents before or during the pregnancy cause Down syndrome. As one can see, people with Down syndrome face struggles and complications on a daily basis. Although this genetic disease does produce symptoms and physical characteristics, people who obtain this syndrome are loving people who have a purpose in the world, just like everyone else.